The Watts Riots, the Mall of America, and A Hard Day's Night are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Date. Today's date is August 11th, 2022. It is the 223rd day of the year. There's 142 days left in this year. It is the 32nd Thursday in the 33rd week and the 52nd day of summer. You got 42 days left until it's supposed to get a little cooler. I can hardly wait. I'm tired of the heat. Today, there's nothing here in the United States as far as a holiday or anything like that, but it is Miracle Treat Day in Canada. Miracle Treat Day seeks to raise money for Children's Miracle Network by promoting the ice cream chain Dairy Queen. The Children's Miracle Network is a non-profit organization that raises funds for children's hospitals in Canada and the United States. They focus on life-saving treatments and medical research. They partnered with Dairy Queen in 1984. The organization helps raise awareness for 170 hospitals across Canada and the United States. So go to Dairy Queen, buy some ice cream. All right, let's see what else August 11th has given us. I will tell you right now, it was a very light day in history. 1929, Babe Ruth becomes the first baseball player to hit 500 home runs in his career with a home run at League Park in Cleveland, Ohio. 1965, race riots, or the Watts Riots, whichever you prefer, begin in the Watts area of Los Angeles, California. We talked about this one last year, I believe. Now, it's a very interesting fact. Now, before I get going, I'm not going to say the Los Angeles Police Department was totally, in the right here or anything like that. They had a history, mistreatment towards the black community way back in the 60s. In honest reality, they really didn't take it seriously and start working on it till the late 80s. That's my opinion. But the Watts Riots started off as an arrest of a young man. Well, his mom came down to see what was happening, and a little scuffle broke out. Apparently, he got arrested just a couple doors down from his house in his car. So kind of a little dust-up happened, and more police were called, and they kind of separated everything, and there were some arrests because of this little dust-up they had on the street. Well, rumors circulated that they had beat a pregnant woman, which didn't happen. There was also rumors that they beat his mom with a nightstick, which didn't happen. And then there was other rumors that the guy they had pulled over was actually dead. That's why they had to fight. Well, none of that happened. It was an arrest that the locals kind of got involved in with a little yelling and a little screaming and things like that. Racial tensions in Los Angeles kind of simmered down a little bit after the Watts Riots. Flash forward almost 30 years in 1992, we had the Rodney King Riots. 1972, the Vietnam War, the last United States ground combat unit leaves South Vietnam. 1984, we begin bombing in 5 minutes. United States President Ronald Reagan, while running for re-election, jokes while preparing to make a weekly Saturday address on National Public Radio, says this, and it was a hot mic, and he was kind of talking about Russia. Of course, this turned into all kinds of propaganda for the Russian government. That Ronald Reagan secretly just wants to bomb Russia, and he's a warmonger and all this other stuff. It was a bad joke. It was just really unfortunate that the United States president made that bad joke. 1992, the Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota opens. At the time, it is the largest shopping mall in the United States. I think the Del Amo Mall, where I grew up, was always like in the top 5. And then when the Mall of America opened up, it kind of just dwarfed Del Amo Mall. So I've been gone from Torrance, California, where the Del Amo Mall was. And I grew up around that mall. As a kid in high school or 8th grade or whatever, you go hang out with your friends at the mall, things like that. I went into the mall. First time I'd been there in a decade or so. I didn't even know where anything was. They just totally changed the whole thing. It used to be kind of simple. It was a straight mall that had like a couple right angles that went into another straight mall, and that was it. Now it's just everything's everywhere, and there's a little alley it's just confusing. I actually got frustrated being in the place and left. I think that's part of being an old man now. 2006, oil tanker MT Solar One sinks off the coast of the Philippines, causing the country's worst oil spill. Since today is so light on things, we're going to give you 2 movies. 1964, A Hard Day's Night. This was a great movie. Beatles star in their debut feature film, which serves as a satirical mockumentary following the day in the life of bandmates John, Paul, George, and Ringo. The comedy was directed by Richard Lester. The picture was filmed in black and white. In order to obtain a U certificate for theatrical screening, a phrase had to be edited out due to its inappropriate nature. This is back in the day when the Beatles were already seen as these evil, corrupting forces for the young folks, so I'm sure some word like damn or something caused all kinds of chaos. A Hard Day's Night is sort of considered to be the first music video because they just ran around while their music played and had a little bit of a movie going on and some dialogue, but a lot of it was their music. And then other bands started doing it. Next thing you know, you got MTV. Movies premiered on August 11th, again, 1973, American Graffiti. This is a look into the life of high school graduates enjoying one final night with their friends before departing for college. It earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Picture. It is notable for being one of the most profitable films in history after being made for only $777,000. To date, with all the DVD releases, going on cable, whatever, and the box office, American Graffiti has made $140 million. Now here's the rub. That's only in the United States. In total, it's made over $200 million worldwide. When George Lucas sold his Lucasfilms, Disney became the owner of American Graffiti. I'm wondering when we're going to get it on Disney Plus. I watched a pretty cool documentary with it, and they were talking all the stars of the show, and Richard Dreyfuss in particular. And he said that George Lucas was the strangest man to work for. He'd tell them what he wanted them to do, and then they already knew their lines. They'd do it, and he'd just sit in a chair while they filmed them go through the scene, and then he'd ask them, are you guys good with that? Do you like it? And the actors would be all, no, let's try it one more time. And he'd go, okay. And he'd just sit in his chair. They'd do it again. They said very little direction. They said he'd get up there, tell everyone what he wanted to see and what he's looking for. You know your lines. Do it. And that was about it with George Lucas. I think it was Carrie Fisher that said George Lucas is the greatest director that doesn't want to be a director. It only took 28 days to film American Graffiti. George Lucas wanted it filmed in his hometown of Modesto, California, but the film was shot largely in Petaluma, California. To this day, Petaluma hosts the annual Salute to American Graffiti. Born on August 11th, 1952, Bob Mothersbaugh, American singer, guitarist, and producer. If you don't know who he is the lead guitarist for the band Devo, his brother being the main man. Mark Mothersbaugh, he's the main guy for Devo, the lead singer and all that stuff. But Mark Mothersbaugh is a great guitarist, and he's very talented. And I think he gets overshadowed and forgotten because they really don't promote themselves individually on that band. They never have. It's just the whole band. It's weird. Born on August 11th, 1967, Joe Rogan, American actor, comedian, and television host. You know him from the UFC. He was on the show News Radio for a long time. He basically started off as a stand-up comedian. He was all into martial arts his whole life. So when the UFC came calling, he's been their announcer ever since. One of them, I should say. These days, he's making a ton of money with his podcast. Died on August 11th, the great Robin Williams. Did you know his middle name was McLaurin? Yeah, Robin McLaurin Williams. He was an American actor, in case you don't know, and comedian. Known for his improv skills and a wide variety of characters he created at the spur of the moment. Sadly, he committed suicide in 2014. Everybody knows who Robin Williams is, and I think we may have mentioned his death last year. I know we at least talked about his birth. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a productive day, and be nice to each other.